Hello and welcome on my channel. Today we're gonna talk about corrupting maps and how it plays out against ravaged maps, but I think this knowledge is also useful against normal blights and all the strategies, right? So what I've done last league is I ran 400 maps, out of which 350 were corrupted and one sample was uncorrupted to have a base and understanding how corrupting really affects our loot and income. So on this page you can see loot of 8 mod, right? So this is the spreadsheet that most of you know, and in the spreadsheet we include like a total loot after sorting stuff in Exilence Next. Some positions are not picked up by Exilence Next, or like a doctor, they are put here for purpose that we actually get the total profit without those rare big drops that have very high impact on our final calculations, right? So in individual tables you will find this data listed and sorted in a classic way, and with help of ChatGPT I was able to build those tables, and this is really useful to have more insight on different types of corrupted maps, right? So when you're corrupting map, you get different outcomes. Whether map is 8 mod, it's unidentified, it gets 6 mod, 5 mod, 4 mods, etc., right? Additionally, we get this new Atlas node, Twisted of Fate, which lets you run your corrupted map with different mods, right? So for instance, you get a mod that you cannot run, you can enable Twisted of Fate and run a different version, right, of it. So I also tested that, and let's see how it plays out. But first, let's a little bit talk about the data here and how I got it, so you understand how it's generated and what it means. So in a header, you have, of course, a type of set. And what I did is like I corrupted my maps and sorted them in groups. I've run them sessions, so I don't really know how often do you get 8 mod, but yeah, overall this set consists of 50 runs of 8 mod maps, right? So this is what we get. Comparing that, we can see that this number matches this number, except for some rounding stuff. So let's not dive that deeply into analysis. So there will be slight discrepancy, but it's irrelevant to our let's say little test, right? So then we have a total of normalized, and what's that, right? So what I did is I calculated an average cost per set using weighted average, and how it works is that of course from 5 different sessions, because I run sessions as of 10 maps, then run 5 sessions per, let's say, per strategy. So this is the weighted average of divine orb per set, right? So this is the calculated is the average of 8 mod, right? And for instance, a nice example is rare uncorrupted, because this was the first test I've done. It was before I was doing the corrupted test. It was when I was testing strategies. So at this time in the league, the divine orb was 186 chaos, right? So if we just compared the sum of total, the rare uncorrupted would be the worst, but that only shows how the inflation progresses through the league, right? So we had to normalize our prices to actually compare those strategies, otherwise this would not be statistically correct. And those sets are sorted by the normalized cost, descending. The same for rows in here, we sort them by normalized descending. That's why some sets will have stack decks at first position and divine orb at second, and yeah, that's not really a big problem for us. Maybe I could sort it by name or using like 8 mod, but yeah, I didn't. It doesn't matter, honestly. It's not what I wanted to focus at. So another important stuff is why those items are listed and everything else is not. So what I've done is I used a Pareto rule, so I only list top 20% items that are that represent 80% of total value, and then everything else is put in either extras or rare drops. So maybe first, what are the rare drops? Rare drops are basically expensive stuff as per Pareto rule. So this is a significant value. However, those items have not been present in all of the sets, right? So those are rare cards like I don't know, Divine Beauty or Sephiroth or Nurse or whatever, right? This is not listed individually, it's categorized into a single position, and everything else is in extras, right? So this is the bottom 20% of value, more or less, right? That way we narrowed down only to those few positions that have biggest impact on your loot. And what else is important about the data? And yeah, and we have the normalized cost. So normalized cost is only calculated for individual positions, and this is the normalized, or sorry, weighted average of every divine orb that I dropped in all of the sets. So this is the average cost of divine orb throughout the league based on 400 maps sample. And this way we could calculate total normalized, which is taking this cost and the stack size, which is the amount of items I dropped in this set, and we calculate the value. And thanks to that, sets like Rare Uncorrupted seem actually to be much better than initially I would have thought. So this is a huge information, because it seems that the most profitable strategy is aid mod, but how do you get aid mods? You really can't unless you have a customer that will buy all the other shit from you, which is unlikely. So you cannot run exclusively aid mods. I wish we could, but we can't, right? So this is only an information that, yeah, running aid mods is super important. Don't fuck up. If you are not sure you can run it, maybe save it for later. This is, yeah, it's super nice. You get a lot of divine orbs, you get a lot of stack decks, a lot of keys, etc. So yeah, that's really nice. But yeah, who could have thought? And that's not big information or news for you guys, right? So the next most profitable is actually Uncorrupted Rare, and I think the reason behind it is that I choose my maps to over 40% of rarity, right? So having that in mind, I always said that running corrupted maps is not like a huge game changer. It doesn't really matter unless we had one league when Tainted Oil was one div each, right? Now it's 34C. So my take on that is, when Tainted Oil is that cheap, it doesn't really matter whether you run corrupted maps or uncorrupted. And I really think that's the case, unless you run some, I don't know, skewed, lame, low investment, blighted map that you really want to minimize the investment and maximize the outcome. But I don't think that works. I think that we should always maximize profit, ignoring completely the cost. So it doesn't matter if your maps cost 1 divine, 2 divines, or 20 divines. It only matters how much divines per hour you make. So yeah, I know other YouTubers will tell you, okay, just run this triple Teal blighted map T14 and you will get rich. Yeah, but you will have to play twice as much as someone who actually thinks about what they do and uses data instead of having like cognitive bias and basing their thoughts and truth to what they feel is right, instead of proving that with data, right? So I always say that it's some things look nice, like with triple golden oil you get so much drop, but when you calculate the cost, time and everything to pick it up, sell, etc., it seems that it's it's worse than running normal blights. So in the end, my take on that is that if tainted oil is that cheap, don't bother with corrupting your maps. You can, I don't care. I'd rather choose my normal maps, sorry, uncorrupted maps higher, maybe trying to squeeze a little bit of more drops there, rather than having to deal with, you know, harder mods. 8 mods are not that simple early on because you can get really hard mod combinations. So it's not about single mods. Maybe you can run every single mod, but then you get 2 mods that, I don't know, monsters cannot be stunned and monsters have a chance to avoid elemental ailment, and then you cannot freeze them, you cannot stun them. If you don't have DPS, you're gonna fail. And if you fail 8 mods, your mixed corrupted maps will basically, the profit will go down. So in the end, don't bother if you are not sure. Don't bother if you don't care. If tainted oil is cheap, why even dropping it, having to sell it? There are not many customers, you cannot sell it in bulk. I wouldn't care, right? So that's my take on that. Next we go to the mixed corrupted. So mixed corrupted is more or less average, of course. Let's say the sample I took here is only 50 maps, so it might not be the best representation, because if I rolled more 8 mods than 4 mods, it would be higher. If I rolled more 4 mods than 8 mods, it would be much lower than, you know, other types like rare. So in the end, it's a bit of RNG. Maybe it's even better to completely skip 4 mods when you corrupt them and not running them, because they fucking suck balls. When you have like 26% rarity, yeah, fuck that shit. It's not worth your time. Maybe you invested like 100 C in. Maybe it's better to save that when you are completely out of money, or you cannot buy maps and you don't have anything else to do, and just focus on running good rolled maps. I don't know, maybe that's some crazy ass strat out there. Maybe you tell me. I'd rather not run corrupted maps than think of that thing. So mixed, let's say, are pretty much an average of everything else. Unit. So unit are pretty good. They are the best maps you will get except for 8 mods. So that's something I expected. There is some kind of hidden bonus for unid maps, and that seems to affect chest loot. So maybe that's useful information to you, that running maps unid is actually better than 6 mods. Yeah. So 6 mods, yeah, as expected, they give you more loot than 5 mods and 4 mods. And I think one of the key points behind this analysis was which maps to roll with Twisted of Fate, right? So actually we can see that unidentified maps and 6 mod maps are better than Twisted of Fate maps. That's what if we can trust this data, and like I said, this is a normalized cost multiplied by all the drops. I think that this is really informative and closest to the truth that we can get, because I can't see running way more maps myself. Maybe we could try to do that combined and get, instead of 50 map sample, maybe 500 map sample, then that would be for sure. But with that little data and samples of 50, I would say when running Twisted of Fate maps, just reroll 5 mods and 4 mods. So 4 mods were no-brainer for you, I guess, but yeah, now we can see that 5 mods are worse than average Twisted of Fate, because it can roll 8 mod, it can roll 6 mod, it can roll unid, and I don't know, it's just a bit better than 5 mod and 4 mod, and a bit worse than 6 mod and unid. So that's somewhere in the middle of this. Maybe you, I don't know, I can't remember if you can roll 8 mod. I think you can, but it's been some time since I played that. Anyway, that's, I think, huge information for you. And I have here a bit more comparison where the difference come from. So why I only included only 3 mods that you should reroll, right? So you can see that Twisted of Fate drops more Divine Orbs, almost same amount of stack text as 5 mod, but then I dropped more Golden Oils, same amount of Sextants. So it looks like that, right? So while it's not really huge. Different thing is that we haven't dropped a single Voidborn key, so that would mean this could have been unlucky session or 5 sessions. So yeah, potentially this is better than it is. Something always worth noticing. Yeah, so we can see that there is a slightly better drop of some items, and that is, I think, enough knowledge, right? So coming back to this screen, you can analyze this yourself. You can dive into this data yourself, and to summarize, the 4 mods are the worst, and they drop the least divine orbs and stack decks. We were lucky to drop some keys. I don't know, maybe that's how it works when you don't get the divine drop. Maybe Voidborn key is like a secondary drop and you get more of them, because in those 5 mod and 4 mod data we can see this is higher in position, while in 8 mod we've dropped shit ton of divine orbs but none of the Voidborn key. No, sorry, we dropped, yeah, we dropped it in here. Yeah, we dropped 4, we dropped here 3, here 0 in Twisted of Fate, which is a pity. 2, 1, right? So yeah, maybe there is something to it that the Voidborn key is a different tier of than divine orb, and it drops more in the lower end and it drops more in the higher end, but the average for every other type was 2. So that's something to look at, but I don't think we should take this really in such details. So the biggest lesson is that, again, we use Twisted of Fate on 5 mods and 4 mods. Running rare mods, running rare uncorrupted maps is actually fine. You don't need to do that. And A mods just print currency is just crazy. It's just when you want to, have a nice day, maybe stack them and spend like hour or 2 running only those 8 mod maps and just enjoy your triple divine orb drops from single chest and stuff, and and make it make it such a fun for you. Okay, no more shit talking, because I don't even know what else I should tell you. You can check this data individually per run. You can check this table, which is black and white, but yeah, I'm not gonna spend hours putting colors in here. And I will upload some more videos about build, summarizing 3.21, telling you about my plans for 3.22. Always remember to join our Discord. Again, just use this bot to get your role. And I think that's it. See you soon, and yeah, hope that was helpful, and see ya. Bye.